It's all good. We'll cover after the meeting. I think we're live now. So, all right, council, let's go ahead and get started. And let's go ahead and call the meeting, the special meeting to order. And Paula, if you can show us at 6:31. And if you can please take care of our roll call, please.
District 2 Alderman Richard Hughes.
Here.
District 3 Alderman David Emery.
Here.
District 5 Alderman Matthew Martinez.
Here.
District 1 Miguel Aguirre and District 4 Michael Rodriguez are absent today.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'm telling you what, I look over here and I see Bonnie Finnegan.
Mm-hmm.
She's part of that. That's pretty cool. What she did for our council chambers. So good times to reflect to those people. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 4. And this is a presentation, discussion, and direction concerning budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. A, changes to the proposed budget, and B, the master fee schedule. So let's go ahead and look at the budget. Here we go.
All right. So, Mayor and Council, obviously it was sent to you, and I do have one extra paper copy if anybody wants one. But obviously, this is probably the closest it's been to the final version that you will see in September. The things that obviously there's just some basic information as you go through that needs to be filled in, but nothing of super standing out. The couple things I'd like to highlight are when you get to page 15. And I don't know that was included in what was sent out, but that is on the dais for those that don't have the paper copy.
Page 15?
Page 15, and should be at the bottom. Should be the page numbers there. So this is where start of what was not included in the online or the one that was sent out earlier this week. This is just a general fund summary. This now reflects closer to the bottom of that page. You'll see the transfers in and the transfer out. The transfer in for just a general fund transfer of $277,000, and the transfer to debt service of $181,563. So we do pay a portion of our debt INS rate out of ad valorem taxes, so that's where that 181 is coming from. Obviously, when we stuck that in there, then we became in the hole, because if you remember last time y'all saw it, it was a balanced budget showing zero, but that did not include the transfer. So going back and looking at how to cover that particular cost, there are two CDs that we actually have that basically we would be cashing in, which is that $277,000 that you'll see as the transfer in. What that'll do is that'll cover the full cost of the make up that difference of the 181, and everything else was actually stuck into engineering services in the general fund, the admin expenses. And my thought with that is we would be able to start the process on the engineering associated with the master drainage plan, because I know that was a concern of starting that sooner rather than later. And since we wouldn't potentially be getting revenue right off the bat to pay for some of that, it would help us start that process earlier. So I think that was my thought process behind that, and that's what's reflected in the budget you see. I will say that's probably the biggest difference, other than format and just general what you see in the pages from the last council meeting that we had.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
We knew this 181,000 was coming, right? There's
not a surprise to us?
It's not a surprise. It's just something I inadvertently left off the last time, so that's why it wasn't on there the last time it was presented.
Oops.
Yes.
Okay. Now I know we're catching these two CDs. CDs are kind of like money in savings accounts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any other CDs?
Yeah, we have a lot. We have several accounts. Previous administrations like to take, I think, money at the end of the year and go put it in CDs.
Okay.
Maybe not the most prudent use of our money, but that's ultimately what
We're
they
not
would.
running ourselves dry in our
100%.
emergency funding.
100%. No, we still have enough in reserves. That's not an issue by doing this.
Just checking.
And that's going to be part of when we have our auditors here. That's going to be part of the things that are going to come out about consolidation.
Mhm.
We're at a point, and I think they've done a great job of being able to put the accounts in the right format and get everything lined up. So
Mhm.
now we can actually start doing what we're supposed to be doing with the accounts and
Good.
transfers and everything else, because it'll be lined up.
Great.
Trying to look at the.
Yeah, so again, page 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 were not included in the packet that was sent out.
Mhm.
Those are on the dais. Wanted to show graphically where revenues, breaking those down into some major categories to really be transparent with where we're getting our money from, and then ultimately how we're spending it by department within the general fund. So that's where those overviews are.
Where did you guys get the template for this?
That would be
'Cause
me creating it.
Very nice,
Thank you.
very easy to understand. So that's really good.
Kind of took from just ones I've been a part of and seen in other,
Before?
and just combination of things. So.
Another question, Zach. On
Yes.
that, pie chart you have there.
Which one? The
On page
revenues 16?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the hotel motel tax is earmarked only for special users.
Yes.
It shows it as a percentage of the general fund revenue, 110,000, also on your pie chart. Do we need to annotate, signify, do something to show that that's kind of locked off money for special purposes, or can we just show it like this and show the okay?
Yeah. So, this is normally how we've shown it. So we haven't laid it out any in previous budget years. Obviously, there are internal controls that only allow us to expend that for certain things.
Okay.
So
Just the question would be, do we need to put an asterisk by it or something like that?
Sure.
And just footnote it as. Okay.
And I did notice just now, since you were pointing to hotel motel taxes, my numbers got misaligned a little bit. So actually, the 110 is what the proposed budget is not that 95. So some of those numbers will adjust a little bit, but it is correct in when you go to the full revenue page. It is correctly shown on the proposed budget section.
Okay.
Of course, we don't have another, unless y'all would like to put something on the books, we don't have another budget workshop scheduled until obviously we're ultimately holding the public hearings for the tax rate and the budget, and then ultimately adopting those. Those are scheduled for the second meeting in September, both the public hearing and the action item associated with that. If y'all think we need to have additional discussion, then we definitely can. But
The only one council is going to be, it's on page, what's that, six? So, let's see. 21, 22, 23, 24. This is on the council expenses on there. I think it would be good. I mean, we have it in the budget just to have it in there, but I think it would probably be good for us to put that as an agenda item in the future for us to go ahead and discuss that. I know the next meeting's agenda is probably going to be pretty busy, so maybe the first one in September.
we can do that.
Can we do that?
Yep.
So maybe on the first one in September, we can talk about that and make sure that it's understood. We put it in there. I asked for it to be put in there as a way to make sure that we had the numbers available. The council decides that we don't want to do that, then, we have the money, we can always transfer it. But wanted to make sure it was included in there versus trying to do an amendment in the future. So, I think if it's okay with you all, we'll do it for the first meeting in September, and we'll have a discussion about the allowance, the rules, everything that goes along with that. Maybe Zach, whether or not a council member can donate it, if they want to donate it. I think one of our council members mentioned that.
Yeah,
So,
we can get some
try to
stuff
do
put
that.
together and have that in enough time for that.
What options we actually have and stuff. I wanted to put it on there because you guys do commit a lot of your personal time to come in here, reviewing stuff on the weekends. So we pull you for special meetings and stuff like that, and it's at least a compensation. And I know there's other cities around here that also do compensate them. Is that correct, Zach?
That is correct.
Yeah, and it's a much larger amount than this, but at the same time, I think we want to stay within our means and do what is within the budget, and at least some sort of compensation. Be able to say thank you, but we'll put it up for the council to consider in the first meeting of September.
We can do that.
Okay. Anything else on the budget?
The only, I guess the last thing, of course, we did include the calendar. It does show all of the holidays for the next fiscal year, so October 24 to September 25. And then obviously the next supplemental document would be the fee schedule, which there's no questions. Anything else, we can probably move to that. And that does show on the calendar, it does show the inclusion of the new holiday that was requested and granted by Council of Battle of
In
Flowers.
April, the 18th,
It's actually May 2nd.
Oh. May 2nd. There we go. Okay.
All the rest follow the same federal holidays that we've adopted in the past. So
Do we have? Also, we have May. Yes, May's the only. So just 1 month, May, where we're gonna have to move the meeting.
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, November. November 2. We have November,
Oh,
Veterans
yes.
Day.
Yes, you're right.
right?
That one's already scheduled for this year. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have November, and then May. We'll have two council meetings. So it'll have to be on Tuesdays on that one.
I didn't put a December council meeting in there for the second because I didn't know if that was typical that y'all only held one or you do two or so. That normal would fall the week of Christmas, so that's
Just remind us, maybe in November, maybe the first meeting in November, for us to say that we're not going to have one.
Yeah.
Just so we can make it officially announce it. Yeah, but you're correct. I mean, normally,
just want to make sure with the awards we have that because I know that's done before the end of the year. So just make sure they can get it all done before that 9th. So yeah.
all right.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else on the budget, we can move to the master fee schedule, which was just sent out a little bit earlier, but is included at the dais. So everything listed out, that's not highlighted in yellow, is fees that are currently adopted, that we have found either in last year's budget document or in other forms that we have. So that list out certain charges. We especially see that in the some of the fire marshal fees. Some of those fees were not included in the budget document from last year, but they are on their actual fee breakdown on the application form. So we included those. The first changes or potential changes that you see is obviously on page 1, and Daniel is here, and obviously he's proposing some changes to the fee schedule, and so you see the breakdown there. Basically, breaking down each of the impoundments for the running at large dogs based on size of the dog. And so it would increase as you would get a larger dog instead of just a flat fee with the boarding fee included. And then had that same change on the actual boarding fee, still a flat fee, but based on the size of the dog in question.
I have a real
Go
quick
ahead.
question there.
Yeah.
Small, medium, large are kind of ambiguous.
Yes.
Daniel, do you have a weight limit for each of these somewhere?
Yes, gentlemen, there is an actual weight limit, but again, right now, it's easier for vets and everything to say small, medium, or large, because different vets in different locations, they have very different weights. Normally, it's 1 pound to 15 pounds is considered small. 16 to 22 is a medium, and so on and so forth.
But if
it goes in different increments.
So that's not going to be determining this. You guys will, right?
Yes, sir. Like I said, we're going to go basic by the scale is what we use when we give for our spotted trio. It has, by weights and everything. So that's kind of our large, our 44 to 88 pounds. Our extra large are 88 to 120 plus pounds.
And you have that available if you
Yes, if
you tell somebody they have a medium dog, not a small dog,
Yes, sir.
and they complain about it, you have to show them the dog
Yes.
on a scale and
Yes,
a
sir.
chart.
We got the scale and everything. Like I said, that'll be posted again. I didn't know if we wanted to get in that depth where it shows.
No, that's
If
fine. I
it-
just want to make sure you had that
Yes, sir.
available to you out there. Okay.
You don't think this would be a deterrent? That they would be like, hey, you know what? And I didn't know my dog was in there for 5 days. Now I have to pay this fee. Just keep it there, and then now we're stuck with the dog.
Well, then from there, sir, a lot of times we're trying to educate and let them know, okay, there are certain things that we can't do. This is why a lot of times we tell individuals, like, if you find an animal, whether it's not yours, give us a call right off the back. Do not collect it. Don't feed it. Don't do it, because, we do get a lot of them that after, a week or two, is they're like, okay, I can't take care of this dog anymore. After a week or two, it's considered yours. And so now you have your surrender. Now it's a surrender fee. And then from there, they're like, well, it's not my dog. I was like, well, but also with that is, sir, to answer your question, yes, it is a little bit of a term, but also it's a little bit of an eye opener, because if that's the case, and we do, again, that's something we can bring up to the police department and everything, say, they've been habitual and everything, they're neglecting. So there is a chance where you can actually create a criminal case of neglect or abuse for an animal. So a lot of this teeters, it has secondary and tertiary effects. So again, we understand we have some that, just prime example, Buddy we know he's out. Every time we go there, he comes back, we go back and talk with their owner. Hey, so we've already talked with them. They already have actions already set in place, what they're sending him to obedience training and everything, so to keep him, in one area, because a lot of families and residents in the Lakeshore, some of them don't mind it, but then others, they tend to, voice their opinion. So that itself, for every time we always jot everything down on our activity sheet. So basically, what it is, so in case something happens, we can go back to these days, pull all of them, and in case if there is legal matters that we want to pursue, we have the documentation already by the officer. And again, I go by and I sign my hand, make sure that there's 2 sets of eyes.
The only thing I'll add to Councilman Emery's point is if it's the desire of council to change the fee, especially on the impoundments and the boarding fee, breaking it down, we can definitely put a note as well in there what the limits are of the dog.
I think what we can do, Zach, I mean, for this, I think we'll be okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think what we need to do is anything that we changed in here along with this, that would be something to include in our flyer that goes
Yeah.
out, in our website, something where in the website, I would put the pounds.
Yeah.
I would, anything like that, because we got to give people a heads up. Hey, starting this time, if we take your dog, hey, this is going to increase. Or the routine dogs that you're picking up, hey, guess what? 1 October, it's going to be,
It's going to change.
it's going to change. It's going to be this much, be able to do that. But I noticed on there that you actually worked on the adoption fee, so it's easier for folks to adopt.
Is right now, like I said, speaking with Mr. Zach and everything, is initially the price was 101.25. That was covered, with them to get fixed, and any other, and then there was other fees for other things that were required. But right now we're getting to the point right now. Again, we're going off of, like I said, Ms. Betty's, she had everything set up that all the dogs were vaccinated and a good majority of them were fixed and microchipped. So when someone comes in, hey, I want this dog, I really want this dog, and they can go out and instead of having to pay, because that's a big deterrent, because if that's the case, they can go to San Antonio, they can go out to Scotia, they can go someplace other that have fees that are sometimes free, or at $20 for So again, this is why we wanted to change it to a flat either 100 or if they haven't got any alterations done to them, or if they already have everything, then cut it down to $50. And we've been asking a lot of people that have been, families that come in, they're like, wow, that's great, that's amazing. So again, we've been getting a lot of feedback from them. So that's kind of where the direction we wanted to stick with.
I think it was more trying to encourage the animals leaving and discourage the surrenders, which is why the increase on the owner surrenders, because that's been a problem, obviously. So, and I think it's been a problem in the past, even with y'all. So,
No, that's good.
so.
Council, anything on that? No. Okay.
So then, moving.
So it's safe
go ahead.
to say that anything that is white is exactly the same.
White is exactly the same.
and that it is right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, no change being requested. So going through, and so on this next one under residential remodel, addition, and alteration, when the bid went out for AOCA, or ultimately when we selected AOCA, they had their own fee schedule. However, it appears that not all those fees got implemented at the time of last budget. So there were several fees and situations where, if you notice, I'm going to point out on page 3 under miscellaneous, there's other project types not listed above, which is a current fee we have, and that was $130. And so what AOCA has had to try to do when certain projects don't meet fees that we currently have, they've been charging $130, and we've been trying to finagle the system to make it work. But AOCA had their own fees for certain things. It just didn't get translated into ours. And so I feel like it's prudent to go ahead and match up, since they are the inspection services and the plan review services we have, and match it up, or at least get closer to it, because I know some of these are a little high, but that is what they are currently charging and have adopted on their side, and when they're going into communities. So I wanted to present this. So that's why you have these 4 or 5 here that are listed as NA, because they don't actually exist today. This would be completely new fees being added.
So if somebody's putting a shed in their backyard, that would be an accessory building?
So shed we still have as a simple permit, I'm pretty sure, correct?
I'm just trying to figure out what
Yeah.
an accessory building would be.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that a shed or not?
Accessory building could be a lot of times you see like a garage, like a secondary, building, outbuilding. It theoretically a shed is an accessory building. In practice it is.
I don't want
and
to.
if-
I don't want to charge a resident.
Oh, I
more,
agree.
But I
Well,
think
I think what right here where it says electricity, plumbing, without electricity and plumbing, right, is what would separate the accessory building. They're just putting
It
one of
would.
these sheds that they sell over there. It's going to put it there and have nothing in it.
It would, but I
Storage.
think the concern, if I can, is that if we are charging closer to $5 range for a simple permit, and then we're going to now charge 300.
Yeah.
under that
See what I'm
same-
saying?
That's what I'm saying. Of
Yeah.
course. I mean,
So,
we want
There
to.
could be some
could
massaging
we
to this.
could we talk to them and
100%.
define that one so
Yeah.
we can make sure that we're matching up with
Yeah.
that? And then the addition to the existing is just basically if you're extending a room or
Correct.
something,
Yeah,
right?
that would be to an existing home. You're extending out,
Okay.
building out, adding on, all that.
So if you have one there now, smaller, you're going to put a bigger one. You got to come pay this fee to put a bigger one on there.
A bigger accessory building,
Correct.
or yeah. Under this scenario, yes, you would be paying.
Let's ask
Yeah,
what that is supposed to be.
yeah.
Let's ask and see.
And I think that's partly why maybe, obviously I was not here,
Mhm.
right? But I think maybe that could be a component of why some of those didn't get added in last time, right? Again, I wanted to put it in front of you, say this is aligned with AOCA's fees. We're clearly probably
We're not making anything. This is exactly what they're charging us, right?
correct.
So and that's part, but I think we need to define that accessory building.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we actually, when you say remodel, that means that we're not extending it, we're just doing something inside
Yes.
the house, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's find out on that one so we
Okay.
can make sure that we
Yeah.
match up to the permits.
Yep.
That we have on there.
And I'll try to have that in front of y'all at that first meeting in September as well, so that way y'all can decide.
Maybe the only
before it
thing I
gets
can,
added to the budget.
the only thing I can think of is maybe this one accessory building is something that you build and it's permanent.
Yeah.
Where a shed normally is,
The
you know,
problem
it's
is if we
usually on
define,
skids or something, right? And
Yeah.
you can move it, maybe because it's permanent and they got to look at the concrete or something.
the problem is when you define in our zoning ordinance, I'm almost positive that we define, based on the definition of accessory building, a shed would qualify under our current definitions.
Okay.
So
Well, let's find out because I mean I'd be worried if we're charging somebody to put a
For
shed
sure.
$300.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I'll get some clarity on that.
so we have that one. Okay. Anything on that? No. Okay. Page 3.
Yeah, so page 3, dangerous building inspections was also another one that was not previously included, and that's AOCA's charge.
Solar permit.
Solar permit, we've gotten a lot of we've gotten a lot of solar permits coming in. And one thing I know on this is that they've been charging the 130 and then they base how many inspections generally, and they try to make it work. We're typically charging about 400 when it's all said and done on solar. So we would be about a $100 increase based on what we're currently charging people on solar. Because again, they're trying to finagle the fees accordingly to their schedule and how they charge us,
Okay.
and that's been a problem. So, and then kind of the same with the others is how they break these out.
Is the certificate of occupancy that's us doing the inspection?
Correct.
This is not-
This is not the fire marshal one. This is them.
The fire marshal.
No. This is them actually doing the CO for the residential buildings
Okay.
for a home.
So them doing their thing.
Correct.
This is not.
No,
okay.
there's another one in fire marshal for fire marshal certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is their certified building official service, okay. Council, nothing on that one? Okay.
There's nothing on 4.
So when they say fuel tank installation and removal, are we talking about propane? Or what are we talking about? On top of page 4.
That is straight from the fire marshal form. So we would have to ask Richie or
Can
Matt.
we ask on that one? Because I can tell you, if it's in the ground and removal, $50 a tank. You go through the EPA and all that other stuff you got to do.
You're looking like a gas station gasoline tank.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
what are they talking about fuel tank? I mean,
we can ask Richie and Matt.
if it's
what that is.
above ground, then put above ground. But I don't think we're supposed to have above ground. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you could have an above ground diesel tank if somebody had a diesel generator. They had their own fuel supply there. You have
No, that's true.
Yeah,
kind of
that's
a
true.
tank there running
Yeah.
diesel.
But so this is a fire marshal charge?
correct.
Okay. Yeah, let's find out.
And again, these are all ones that were either in the previous budget or were on the form that they currently have adopted. The commercial and multifamily plan review and the commercial and multifamily inspections, as well as the last miscellaneous on page 4, are all fees that if we decided to use AOCA for the services of fire marshal. Currently, we don't, and we haven't had that, but in the event we did, and these were all included in last year's budget as well. So these are nothing new. It's just a matter of I want to call attention to that.
Do they provide that service if we want it?
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, a little more cost than what we're charging people, but yeah.
On these new ones that you're adding, are you able to get us what we were at before?
Yeah, like
If there was
where
something
we
there.
were kind of, how we were kind of charging people. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
We're on page 5 now. Is that right?
Let me make a note. Sorry. Yes, page 5. So when Paula was putting some of these together, she found on various things where we should or have maybe charged in the past for parade and public gathering permit and peddler's registration fee, but we can't find anywhere where there's actually a fee attached to that. So that's why that's blank.
Parade and public gathering permit. What is that? What are we talking about?
I guess if somebody wanted to hold a parade downtown, not city sponsored or not probably school district sponsored, but they wanted to do that, then obviously there's some coordination that goes along with that. So normally you would charge. But again, we couldn't find any fee that's ever been used for that. But it was listed on forms and just with no fee attached to it. So that's why those are in there as blank and highlighted.
We've also not had anybody coming saying we want to do a parade or.
Yeah, well, I'm
To
just
my knowledge, no.
What-
Well, there's two that come to mind. You know, you got the school district, the alumni when they put their parade together,
Yeah.
and then you'll have the VFW when they do the 9/11.
Mhm.
You know, that would be a
Yeah,
march.
it's kind of a
But,
parade, yeah.
so
And I think historically we haven't charged for those. So I mean, and
I-
maybe way
I
back in the
don't
day
think
they
so.
did, or something along with that. I don't know. But that's why they're in there. We can definitely delete them if it doesn't make sense for us anymore. I just wanted to keep that because we did find reference to it, but we never found a fee.
School ones should be charged.
Correct.
It's been around forever.
I mean, there's got to be something, right? I mean, especially if they're going to use the local law enforcement that's going to have to come out and provide the security or traffic control. You know, we don't want to eat that whole thing. So if somebody's going to want to come out and say, hey, I want to have a parade in Lytle, well, we're going to provide the services. I think there should be something to come back towards the city that we're not having to eat.
Yeah, much like renting out the
Correct.
community
Because they're
center,
gonna
having
want-
cops there. Yeah.
Law
Yeah.
enforcement to block off here, block off there. You're going to have to call in extra guys for that. They're going to have to come work overtime, you know, or we're going to cut somebody out from here or there, or somebody from the city's going to have to come out, public works, whatever.
So So what we've done in the past, and I'm also thinking because of public gatherings, I think our police chief will go ahead and tell them you need to hire your own. You know, depending on what they're doing. Like if a restaurant is doing like in the front and they're doing a gathering, I can think of something like that. And they basically said you need to get your own, and they do the whole thing. The pub here recently, when they started doing the thing going across, they actually had to hire their own. Wasn't a PD thing, but during that time, I think they still had to come and ask, right?
I would just like to see what kind of risk we still at that point. Of, are we still responsible if somebody gets hit in the middle of Main Street and they're going to come after the city because of that? So I'd like to see something where if we're going to do that, the responsibility's on them. What kind of insurance are they holding? Because regardless, we're going to get named in it. If somebody does get hit on Main Street, regardless if it's a private security that's holding it for them anyway. So
Yeah.
where are we going to be standing in that legal issue if somebody gets run over or the officer wasn't there or somebody drunk walks out there, you know? So I'd like to see something like that if that's what we're going to do.
Probably be a good idea to check with Richie on this. Either he would know, or he could get resources, information from another city who already has this in place, and he can just adopt it.
I mean, anything like that, if we had something, is going to go through his office anyways. I mean, it's nothing that, you know, we would coordinate here at City Hall just because of the traffic concerns and things like that. So,
Public
so I'm happy
gatherings
to do
here,
that.
are we thinking like protest at the
I mean,
park or something?
The same
see,
thing
the
goes-
problem is at the park, it's a public park. Like, I can't, you know, if you want to go use the park, unless you're using, like, somebody already, you know, purchased using the gazebo or things like that. Like, you know, I mean, you want to publicly gather at the park. I don't know that we can really say much to that. I think more the public gathering was if, you know, something down, you know, in the right of ways, or, you know, some of our other public facilities, things like that.
Yeah, and they've done that.
Yeah.
They've done some of the businesses. I would, if we're going to do that, I would prefer you separate them. Make one just
Sure.
parade, and then the other one public gathering.
Yeah.
Make it two separate permits in there, and then we can take a look at it.
Yeah,
You
and
can
I'll get with
put an
Richie.
amount, and then we can always come back to the council and, hey, the school asks for a
Sure.
waiver on the permit for some reason.
Yeah.
You know, based on what they're doing, we can evaluate each one individually.
And
So
you could even throw the fee out there where they have to use our law enforcement. They can't use anybody else but Lido PD, right? Or somebody who may not be qualified to do it. And that fee's got to be paid from them to, you know, same way they use community center. You know, the community center, they have to hire our guys to go and be security. I mean, so if they're going to do that, it's got to be one of our guys that's, again, insured through us, knows our policies and procedures. You know,
Especially for road crossing down here.
Yeah.
They have private security guy, rent a cop for $12 an hour, and he can't stop somebody speeding because he doesn't look like a cop. Yeah,
He doesn't have
We're
law
on the hook.
enforcement. He doesn't have law enforcement powers. He's just security. You know,
we're on the hook.
we need to look at something like that.
Sure.
talk to Richie.
I will. Anything on the peddler's registration fee? Again, that was just another one of those.
Well, do we have one right now?
We cannot find.
We have a
anything-
permit, right?
Yeah.
They have to come get a
They,
permit?
they do have to get like stuff from PD, background check, and things like that. I think, but it's
This
no
is
fee
a
associated.
solicitation permit, right?
correct.
Basically.
So they will come here, they will ask for the permit. The application goes to the chief will review it, does whatever he has to do, and then he'll let me know, okay, this is good to go or it's not good to go. And then we just give it to them. I mean, they have a certain time. They normally, like, the people that come in, they sell those books from like out of state or whatever they're from. They come and do like a summer thing. They'll be here for about a month.
Does that go for anybody who knocks on the door? Should they come and get permits? Yeah, they're supposed to.
Yes.
Well, at Watchtower Press?
That's that. Yeah. Do they come and get a permit?
So,
The
yeah,
Watchtower?
Jehovah's Witness.
No, I don't think so.
no, for the religious home. I mean,
I don't think they do.
I don't think it'd be a bad idea to charge a normal fee if somebody comes, because if Richie has to do any kind of a check and some paperwork, his time is worth something.
But we also want to see who's coming to our neighborhood.
Well, I'm sure they always call. I mean, they get phone calls. The PD gets phone calls. Somebody's knocking on the door and
Yeah.
they're seeing people and they want to make sure and check that they
I
actually
mean,
have
I
a
want to see who's
permit.
walking through. I mean, if I have my kids or grandkids out there, who's actually knocking on my door? Or, I mean, we're in a different time these days.
I don't
Talk-
know
Just
that
kind of
they.
background
I don't know
on
that they do anymore, but you know when I've seen certain cities put a fee on it, very nominal, but they restricted it to like they wouldn't charge the fee for like the Girl Scouts, but I mean Girl Scouts don't really go door to door anymore, so I mean but stuff like that they don't want to fault those organizations that are trying to teach
Yeah,
people
the
something.
encyclopedia salesman, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you could really get
Yeah.
into like
But again, we
semantics
don't want.
there. Yeah.
I know, but again, we don't want just anybody walking our streets, knocking on doors. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like to know that hey, we're safe here. Then who's coming knocking on my door?
Yeah. Vetting them a
At
little
least
bit.
something. At least if we have to run a small little background on them or do something to say, hey, this guy is safe to walk the neighborhood. I mean,
Then you get into the issue of people running for office and knocking on your door to talk politics with you.
they should come City Hall and let us know they're going to be there also. Hey, I'm gonna be running for this. I'm gonna go and
Yep.
and I'm gonna be in your
I'll
city.
be canvassing in your
Correct.
town, yeah.
In case they do get that phone call, they know what's going on. Oh yeah, so and so's in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I mean, it goes all the way around. If we're doing it for one, we got to do it for all.
Yeah, I mean, there is some checking, and I don't know if it's like a very light background check, but there is some stuff that Richie does do, or the PD does do. So, I mean, there is time spent by staff, and
We need to
so
figure out some sort of.
but again, we
nominal
never-
fee.
had any fee attached to it, so that's why that's.
If it's a true peddler, I think there should be some fee attached. If it's
Yeah.
a school political thing, a church group, Girl Scout cookies, bring the Thin Mints on, then we can know they're coming and, heads up.
Understood.
I'll throw a number out there.
Okay.
$25.
This day and age. Yep. Little inflation over $10, that works for me.
Anybody have an issue with 25?
I just say, talk to Richie, see how much time.
Talk to Richie and see
if
what
he-
even what a
If it's like,
I'm just
10 minutes.
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking it's less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So I'm
Yeah.
like thinking of a salary,
Yeah.
and then I'm thinking, okay, they got to do the permit, So
Time's involved and time's money, sure.
I'm just saying,
If it's more of a formality and there's nothing being checked, then we can.
Yeah,
talk about
I
it,
mean,
but
honestly,
otherwise we'll go. with
if the
25
process
so.
between Richie and Paola or one of the girls
Sure.
is less than 30 minutes, 25.
We don't need to give our services away, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, agree.
And I think we probably have done that quite a bit in the past.
All right.
So no selling churros, okay?
Don't give them
Let
ideas, Mayor. All right, so nothing changing on 5 unless anybody
Please,
has.
please make sure you separate them though.
Yes,
also.
I will. Yes, I've
Please
made a note.
separate those
I've
two.
made a note. Unless anybody else has anything. The next one, so gets to planning and development fees. So currently our zoning change application is $50. I threw a arbitrary number out there of 150. I will say that we are not covering our costs at all. Every time we have to send a zoning notification, we have to post in the newspaper. That's $320 right there. And that's under current scenario. The newspaper could go up, but right now we're being charged $320, plus the additional staff time and everything that goes along with that. So even at the $150, that's not covering our costs, but it gets us a lot closer than the $50. We've even changed the application fee because the application used to say it was a refundable fee. So in the past there was, hey, pay us the $50, and then they were theoretically giving the $50 back.
And if the council approved the zoning
Yes,
change, they
yeah.
get their money back?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there was no indication of when that was applicable or not.
Maybe
Right?
services.
So that's what that number is. We can have more conversation about that. Our attorneys are working on adopting a plat filing fee. But they're just the language associated with that, not the actual fee itself. since that would be in the fee schedule. And so I threw out those costs there. So again, just an arbitrary number from my perspective. And the variance application I had at $50 because there's not a newspaper notification with that, but we're currently not charging anybody to go through variance application process either. So that's why I threw out that $50. So again, I'm open to whatever on
I'm going
those.
to go back
So,
to the zoning change application.
Sure.
I think if it's for residential,
Okay.
the 150 is adequate. If it's commercial, I think we should come at least at 300. I mean, if it's a commercial that is coming in and they want to change their area,
Okay.
they can absorb. I mean, we're paying $300 for
320 every time we have to post.
so
in
for the newspaper, we gotta get more.
So
for
we're
that.
losing.
We're losing money currently.
Yeah.
We would still lose some money, but it'd be a lot closer.
Yep, but
So why don't we just make it even where we don't lose nothing?
I just find it hard for the resident. If it's a residential, they're just making a quick change. And we don't have too many of those, but at the same time, for somebody at their house, just changing the residential portion of it.
We could do keep the 150 for residential and commercial. We could do actual costs.
Hey, I'd go with that.
I mean, because it may be 4, it may be
Yeah.
Anybody who runs a business knows that there's a cost to doing business.
Sure. There's something coming with it.
Now the commercial, just so you know, that would include any kind of duplex or anything like that. Okay, so even though it's residential, it would be still in the commercial. So just word it
I
somewhere.
would say commercial and multifamily. And
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So. Okay. Okay. That's
and
it.
then yeah, the only other ones, like I said, are those plat filing fees, and then the variance application. The one thing I noticed just going through when we get down to utilities, some of the impact fees aren't in here, so I need to add those. But
Yeah, I was gonna say we need to put the impact
Yeah,
on
yeah.
there. Where's a simple permit in here?
it's not.
Okay,
It's not. So we need to add it.
are we okay? What do we use a simple permit for?
Well, like we've said, shed has typically been used. An above ground pool, not in
A
ground
fence?
pool. Fence has been spent. As long as it's under a certain height for fences.
But they still need to get a permit for the fence.
Correct. But one is if it goes over a certain height, then we do require a full, like a review on
Got
it.
it.
Whereas if it's under, I don't know, it's like 4 feet or something like that, then it's a simple.
As long as the main reason we asked for that to be added a while back is because people were digging, and they were digging and putting stuff on easements and places where we had utilities. They wanted to run the fence all the way out to the front, which is okay, but at the same time, we need somebody to verify.
Yep.
So if you can just put it on there.
Yeah.
And how much is the simple fee?
$5.
$5 for a shed, fence,
Above ground pool.
above ground pool.
There might be a couple others. We can. Well, we'll put in there what
How much
exactly
time
it
do you
covers.
spend doing that review? $5 worth? That's where I'm going with this. We don't want to charge too much, but I mean,
10, 15.
I'm just saying, if it's 15 minutes that you're going to spend on it,
I mean, I'll be honest. In the other 2 cities, granted different demographics, but I've never seen a simple permit. This is the first time I've encountered that. I can try, yeah. 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 I
the
can.
reason that we did the simple, and this is before me, but then when we had a long discussion of simple, once again, is we wanted the resident to at least allow us to be part of the equation before they put the shed down, before they put the fence down, anything that they're doing, so they wouldn't put it on maybe our easement, or they were putting it in an easement in their back property, or putting it next to their neighbors. At least we had a chance to be able to do that. So, it's more of the check, just make sure.
Well, normally on the simple permits, you're not having that. That's the reason they're a simple permit. There
Yeah.
is no inspection included.
But they're supposed to bring a map and show,
Correct.
right? They're
Yeah.
supposed to bring the plat.
That's
Yeah.
how it was before. They used to just, because it was just a simple permit, they'll just say, we're just gonna put a shed, no electrical, no nothing. Okay, well, just bring us a sketch, and then all of a sudden the shed is right on the line.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
there's,
So it's basically looking at the map. They're supposed to turn in a plat, right? And be
If
able
we
to
send somebody out, like, for example, Public Works go out there and say, hey, it's on our easement, or who.
Well, the plat map would actually have the easement, have the dashes, so you would know if they're saying they draw it and it's like, hey, do you know that that's an easement? You can't put it in there.
Yeah, so I'm reviewing all the permits before it's approved. It does go through my office, and that's where we've caught some of those where they're asking to be in the setback, or and that's why we've had variances and things come up, and then, but no one. Let's say it does get approved, right? Everything is good and golden, and they move down the road. No one is going and verifying at the end of the day that it's being put where it should be put. I will say that, just because we don't have internally the manpower to do that currently. So, that could be something that our code enforcement verifies, but
we used to send Skip before to just check on things like
Yep.
that.
You're correct. That's what we used to do,
Mhm.
is just check, make sure. You would get a chance to review the plat, right? And then whenever you go do a quick verification, make sure that they
that
put
it
it
actually put where they said
where they
Yes.
said they were going to put it.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause I know we want to go crazy on the city, right? Charging our citizens all this fee, but we can't just have, say, Chip, that we're paying this much and we're not getting anything back. We'll just put it all out there.
Yeah.
So
I think, you're spending 15 minutes at least, or around 15 minutes, probably.
15 minutes or so. It just depends on.
I think
What
we
I
should
have.
be more around
Sometimes they don't give
15.
me everything, so sometimes I call them back, hey, I need this, I need that. If they don't bring me anything, that's where I'm trying to get a hold of the people so they can bring everything back.
I just, council, I don't know, just make a recommendation. We go to 15.
Yeah.
Just to pay, just to cover
It's still
this.
nominal, but it does help to cover the cost.
15.
We don't want to charge people too much, but
No,
at the
I
same
agree.
time,
Yeah.
just be able to recover some of the costs.
And then we'll build in a process to work with code enforcement on,
Yeah.
on verification and stuff.
The 15 doesn't even account for the code. So
It doesn't,
I'm
but I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It's a bargain.
he's
It's
out
still
and
a
about
bargain.
anyways. So,
let's go see where we're at with.
I can do that. I can still pull that information, and then we can
Good.
see. But we'll start at 15.
Yeah,
and
we'll start at
then
15 and then
we'll,
we'll see where.
we'll pull from there, and then when I bring all the rest back in September before we do the budget, we can have that conversation and look at this.
Anything else on this? Is there any other permits that are missing out of here? Anything you can think of?
I will. I want to give kudos to Paula for pulling a lot of the information for me on this, and doing the legwork on that. So thank you.
What's a food? Okay, so we had the certificate occupancy there. Where is the certificate occupancy?
Should be under fire
It's
marshal.
under fire marshal? Okay, I missed it then.
Actually, it may not be. The
What page are you looking at?
4 is where
Or
the miscellaneous are. They're probably They're either using the initial fire safety inspection or all other permits as required by code, which is the 25, same price. Yeah.
That's 120, right?
No, 25. 25.
But okay, where is it at? Or it's not listed here.
Up here, the top
Oh,
miscellaneous.
annual.
Yeah, so these,
No truck. Right. Annual commercial fire inspection, burn state initial fire inspection, or initial fire safety inspection. Okay, but we need to label it. We have our own. When you give out, you give a certificate of occupancy, right? So if we need to call it the same, so there's no confusion between that and this. See
we
what I'm
can
saying?
we can just add another category for that.
Yeah, make it the same.
Separate it.
So if somebody says, "Hey, well, why am I getting charged of this?" Well, this is a certificate. When you issue the certificate, it's a certificate of occupancy.
Yes.
So if that includes a fire, then go ahead and put that as part of that. Or if you need to be able to do that one. And then how about the food? We said the food handlers. I know that the fire marshal inspects that, right?
Yes. But they don't list it anywhere on their.
Let's ask that. Because I know they check for the food handlers portion, that they have it. They're supposed to check for that. Not that they're going to give it, but they're supposed to check. And then they go in there and I think they check for the fire suppression, right? Those are the two things that they actually check. So, yeah, if we're supposed to, because there's two things that we talked about. The food handlers is one, just making sure that they have it.
Yeah.
But then the other one that hasn't come in front of council, but our previous attorney that we had before Molly brought to us, maybe that we should have a permit for food trucks. We don't have a permit system for food trucks, and whether or not we need to have a permit for food trucks on there. So the way that we catch them right now is basically if the police sees a food truck that is here that is never, and that's when they inspect them. So they have to be checked out and make sure that the food handlers and everything else. So just talk to Richie.
I will.
Yeah. For us, it's very important that we don't. I mean, we want to make sure we check, but at the same time, don't be very restrictive. The unfortunate thing is we have all three counties. So you'll have a food truck that got cleared from Bexar County that they can sell, and then it's like, well, they drive the street and it's like, oh, you're in Atascosa, so you can't do it anymore. So, so what the city decided in the past is that we would honor the counties as long as it was the health inspectors for the counties that actually did that we would honor theirs. That way we don't have a food truck. If it moves around the city, inside the city limits, it would be okay. So that was one thing. But we still said that I think the fire marshal was going to check the system, right, and check for the food handlers that they actually
And I know they do, and they're probably charging it under like that, again, just like the certificate, they're probably charging under the fire safety inspection, but we can actually call it what it is.
Yeah, just call it what it is. And if you need to separate two, then separate the two.
Okay.
Because we also got to think, people that come in, this is going to be on our website.
It will.
So people that come in here and they want to operate, it's easier for them to go look up stuff and be able to say, oh, okay, it's going to cost this.
And it needs to be understandable.
Yes.
I'm going to sell churros. How much am I going to cost?
I would expect
Coming from Richard Hughes,
All right. Any other questions or concerns on this? This was good discussion.
Yeah, very good.
It was very good and great work. You guys, all of you, great work. This is good. Appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 5, discussion, direction, and possible action concerning requests for qualifications for city engineering service. Zach?
Yeah, so Mayor and Council, obviously we've had some discussions, about our current engineering, and we got a lot of projects going on, and we just feel it's prudent probably to explore some options and, have even multiple engineering firms, so I would like permission formally from council if it's y'all's desire to do so, but formally start an RFQ process. If you don't know, it has to be an RFQ qualifications because for engineers we can't ask for pricing. We are restricted from doing that, so it's a request for qualifications. Firms will submit and say, we'd like to do stuff here, and engineering services perform for y'all, and we have the ability to do it based on our experience. And then council will decide from there who they would like to basically have as an engineer, sole engineer, or multiple, like I've suggested.
Yeah. And you've seen that before, right?
Yes.
Multiple, so you can have a little bit
Yes. In the previous city, just for example, that I was with, we had 4 engineers, and they were on rotation. And so we had a lot of street projects there that we were doing, redoing a lot of the streets. And so one engineer would have one, and as the next one would let, the next engineer for design purposes, and just go down the list. So.
balance things out, give a little bit of flexibility. So that'll be good. Okay, well, this one is a action. So council, I would need a motion for us to go ahead and do this.
Yeah, I think I can make the motion here. I move that we authorize our city administrator to pursue requests for qualifications for city engineering services as discussed in our meeting.
Okay, have a motion on the floor? Yeah, second? Okay. Any further discussion on this? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All yeas? Okay. So start building that RFQs to go ahead and put out. And Zach, based on what you have and your expertise, you can come back to the council and let us know, hey, I think we should have 2 or we should have 4, whatever you think would be beneficial based on the workload that is forthcoming to our city.
For sure. And we'll see what we get in response.
Yeah, that's true.
Zach, you said you had experience in other cities with this.
Yeah.
Do we have to pay a retainer fee to these engineering firms?
No, it's just, when you actually select a project that you want this particular firm, they'll submit, like TRC is doing, task orders associated with that.
Right.
And ultimately we would move forward, but there's no retainer.
Right. No $1,000
No.
retainer. You're
No, sir.
And we get the infamous letter, they
Yeah.
sign it saying that they're going to charge us this much to review or do whatever they're doing.
Yeah, and those will always come before council for consideration.
All right, 6, consideration and possible action concerning resolution 2433, a resolution of City Council of City of Lido, Texas, ratifying the actions of the city administrator in executing an emergency procurement from Waste System Solutions LLC in the amount of $75,657 with 88 cents for materials and labor to clean the City of Lido wastewater treatment plant, providing for incorporation of preamble and providing an effective date.
All right, so mayor and council, obviously as the caption indicates and the data sheet, we have some issues out at our sewer plant. There's been some buildup. Our public works staff has tried to tackle it one time. We used some overtime, and it's just too big of a job for what they need to do. Just partly because it's been, I don't want to say neglected, but the maintenance hasn't been kept up on it over the last few years, and so obviously we're going to be building in some maintenance plans and procedures as we go forward, but the situation out there is I'm worried is going to cause some larger issues with our sewer, which is why I'm coming before you and saying that in talking with our attorney about it, we received finally somebody that actually decided to give us a price on it. That's the other component of it is several contractors wouldn't even touch it. So we're struggling to find people qualified in order to do it. And 2, now that we have somebody, the cost is over the required 50,000 threshold that we would have to go out for bid. But if there are provisions in the local government code that allow, if it is an emergency situation, to forego those. And so I believe we're at that point, unfortunately, with the system. And so that's why I'm requesting that we go ahead and proceed this way with this company. This company came to us via recommendation from a group called E3, who kind of specializes in finding unique and innovative ways to take care of water and wastewater projects and things like that. They were on the Rural Water Association, Texas Rural Water Association, and they reached out to me and said, "Hey, how can we help with whatever?" And I said, we need some desperate help at the sewer plant. So they took a look at it, and this is what they've come back with as a bid to get it taken care of.
Where are they based out of?
No, that's a good question. I apologize. I don't have that information. So,
Yeah, but council, this is a very specialized, what we need to do. This is maintenance that should have been done on an annual basis. But unfortunately, and I'll say it, it's 10 plus years.
So the 75,000, is that for the maintenance and get it back up far, clean it out?
yeah, so it's to clean the digesters and the clarifier. That one clarifier is actually completely down because of the situation out there. So cleaning the digesters, the clarifiers, what they'll do is they'll remove all the sludge and the buildup, and they'll place it on our drying beds. It would be more expensive if they hauled it off, and we already have a contract to haul off sludge and everything. So they'll lay it on the drying beds as it dries out, and then we'll use our current contract to actually haul off the material, basically, that's left. So it's just to basically get it to a point where it's functioning again, and then it's on us now to then start building in the maintenance plan
So
of
while they're
keeping it.
doing all that, is it still being produced?
Yes, it's still functional.
Yeah, it's still working.
yeah.
It's working the way it is.
Yeah.
But after you get done, there's some reservoirs, and that's where the buildup is, and that's where it needs to be taken out. So
Literally, when Robbie and the guys went out, and this was a few months back, right around the time I actually got here, he came to me and said, "Hey, can we use some overtime and go in and try to clean some of it?" And they did, and literally a day later, just a whole bunch chunk just right up to the surface again. And so it's not great. It's a ugly situation out there. So we need to get it.
That process, a week, a day?
Yeah, so they'll be out. They're estimating about 8 to 10 days that they would be on site, and to get it all taken care of. So
You say you ran this by our legal and
I
we're
did,
okay on
yes.
this?
Yeah, they wanted to make sure that what the justification, obviously, for emergency, and they feel comfortable with
Sure.
that, so.
Well, if it stops, we're in trouble. That's an emergency.
That was my biggest concern, is that it could lead to further damages and
And we're going to have to do this anyhow. We're looking at doubling the size out there, and
Yeah.
we need to start clean and not start with a system
Yes, sir.
already clogged up.
Yes, sir. And then the only thing I'll note is, so the 75,000, obviously, that's not a budgeted item, but we do have some sewer reserve account that would cover. It's 150,000 in there. Yeah, so we have that in there, and that would cover that particular amount.
we've actually done a good job of having some reserves for situations like this.
And that CD money you're talking about is not coming in here.
That's not
Okay.
no. So this is a completely sewer reserves, completely separate account, one of the many accounts we have, like we
Sure.
discussed. But because it's listed as sewer reserve, we can only use it for the utility anyway.
There you
So
go.
here it is.
Then from this point on, internally, we should be able to do the maintenance that
Correct.
needs to be done. It should
Sure,
be
with a good schedule.
Yeah. No. Very manageable. Yeah.
Yes.
You're talking about 10 plus years, so yeah. I mean, honestly, and that's the whole thing, is just being able to
Yeah.
get the stuff out. So
So you
And,
need a
and
motion
this
for that?
will be, being that we're expending it now, I've had guarantees from the company that they'll be able to get it done before the end of the fiscal year. So I'll be letting them know tomorrow if that's the desire of council, which it sounds like it might be. But and then hopefully they'll get out here starting maybe even next week. So.
Council, I need a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mayor. I move that we approve Regulation 2433 as presented.
Resolution 2430.
I'm sorry, resolution number 2433, right?
Yes.
Okay, as presented.
Thank you. Have a second?
I'll second.
Second? Okay. Oh, beat me to it. I was looking the other way. Okay. Me to that. Okay. Any further discussion on this? Any questions, clarification? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All yeas. Motion carries forward. Thank you, council. Appreciate that. All right. So it is 7:42. Can I get a motion for us to go ahead and adjourn?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
A motion.
Good. I'll second.
Second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good meeting. Good meeting.